Singular sensation. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. We'll get started in just a moment. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning, Sunnyvale. Good morning. Good morning, Sunnyvale. Happy Friday. Welcome to my weekly virtual office hours. This week's early artwork is actually from the Heritage Park Museum. So they actually have a wonderful mural wall, which kind of encompasses the full history of Sunnyvale, going back to, the colonial days from that standpoint. So, I really enjoy this kind of picture of downtown, the train station in downtown Sunnyvale, Murphy Avenue, Encinal. So from that standpoint, it's great to highlight the history of Sunnyvale. So the Heritage Park Museum right now has a very interesting piece of artwork, or interesting exhibit, I should say, beyond all the artwork and kind of the permanent exhibits that they have. But they actually have a history of kind of Sunnyvale from the sky. So pictures of Sunnyvale for the last 100 years, for when the dirigibles were here, when the Macon was here, through, kind of seeing Sunnyvale develop. So if you get a chance, go by the Sunnyvale Library and enjoy what they're doing. Looks like we have a problem. There we go. Sorry. Hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Let me make sure that everything's working like it's supposed to be working. You never know. Everything's working like it's supposed to. Okay. And definitely, if you get a chance, go by the Heritage Park Museum. It's open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays from noon until 4 p.m. And they have lots of exhibits. You can learn a lot more about Sunnyvale history. But I thought this mural was actually a great start to the day. It's very colorful, and that same artist actually did the murals on the Goodwill building at Washington Avenue and Sunnyvale Avenue. So if you get a chance, go by the museum and take a look at their latest temporary exhibit, as well as all their other exhibits. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Sunnyvale Mayor Larry Klein. Thank you for joining me again this week. Welcome to more rain. That atmospheric river is back, and we'll have another few rainy days. This is the 155th installment of my weekly office hours. Hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy, staying dry. We have now reached 1,089 days since March 16th, 2020 county health order started the shelter in place with an attempt to slow the spread of COVID-19. Almost exactly 3 years ago, I converted my weekly coffee shop office hours into this weekly live stream address. Except for my shoulder surgery, I haven't missed a week since. Next week is our 3-year anniversary. So, we'll start changing what this live stream address looks like every week. I'm not going to be focusing as much on COVID. Conceivably, I might be bringing in some speakers, but it probably won't be every week. It'll be maybe once or twice a month, depending upon what's happening. So we have, there will be some changes after we reach that three-year mark. But people still say they appreciate hearing from their mayor every week. Whether or not they're watching me live or watching this video time delayed, days, sometimes weeks later. But these weekly addresses allow me to reach a lot more people than in-person office hours. They allow me to provide you some updates, tell you some of the upcoming events, and just answer some of your general questions. If one person has that question, at least probably 20 people have that same question. So it's really been great for me over the last 3 years to really meet with our residents and give you some general words of encouragement, provide you some critical information when it was needed, especially early on in COVID. So thanks for allowing me to continue to represent you and work for Sunnyvale. Most Fridays, like today, I follow up these live stream addresses with in-person meetings being seen on Murphy Avenue. So if you would ever like to reserve 15-minute or 30-minute time slot, you can just email me at council@larryklein.com, and we can figure out what time slot works for you. You can always go to larryklein.com to look at my calendar on when the upcoming office hours or live stream addresses are. So, lots of information there, news articles and, more about me, more about how to get involved, all of that. So definitely, visit that when you get a chance. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about what's happened at federal, state, county, and city level over the last 2 weeks. Last Tuesday, the COVID state of emergency quietly ended here in California. California was one of the 8 states that still had statewide COVID states of emergency in effect. And with the end of that emergency, it affects pretty much a lot of closures of some of the testing and vaccination sites around the state. From a federal standpoint, the emergency will be ending on May 11th. But, so the big thing is private insurers won't have to cover COVID-19 tests without cost sharing. And so we've seen some of the big questions as far as what that cost sharing might be, getting testing, getting vaccinations. So we'll see where that goes. But definitely that was, up through the COVID state of emergency, all that was free. And so now there will ultimately be cost sharing that when you get a vaccination shot, when you get your test, it's no longer free. Last Tuesday evening, council met and we interviewed applicants for our boards and commissions. And so this is something that we do on a quarterly basis, go through these interviews. If you ever want to get more involved in the city, we have lots of different boards and commissions that ultimately give council recommendations, work with staff, do community outreach. It's really important for the operation of the city. And, for me, we take, and I'm constantly telling people, who want to get more involved in the city, this is one of the best things that you can do. But we take applications year round and we do interviews on a quarterly basis, definitely the mid-year. So the application period, let's say in May and June, that is kind of our biggest number of open positions because most commissioners, and we lose, some commissioners, whether or not they get too busy or they move out of Sunnyvale. So throughout the year, we lose a certain number of commissions, but commission appointments normally end at the end of June. And so we have people transitioning off after serving a 4-year term or a partial term, or serving their full 8 years, serving 2 terms and moving on to conceivably another commission or opening up that spot for someone else. So definitely next quarter, there'll be a lot more positions open. And if you ever want to get more involved, you can just go to the Sunnyvale website and search for boards and commissions, and you can see the application process in our different commissions. And then let's see, on Tuesday of this week, Governor Newsom announced that this year, Newsom plans to fulfill his state constitutional requirement for a state of the state just by sending a letter to the state legislature. And I'll say every governor in the US kind of gives a state of the state address, which normally just mimics the president's yearly State of the Union address. But California Constitution does require the governor to report to the state legislature every year on the condition of the state, and normally that's done in person at the state capitol. Next week, Governor Newsom's office says that Newsom is planned to embark on kind of a 4-day tour of the state to highlight his priorities. And so kind of redoing that speech, in Sacramento, in the Bay Area, in Southern California, probably in Central California. But of course, he just tested positive for COVID. So that actually might be delayed. We'll see what actually happens from that standpoint. But he turned up positive with COVID, I think on yesterday. I think they announced it. So we'll see whether or not he does his state of the state tour around California next week or not. And then on Wednesday morning of this week, I joined many people, students, parents, other electeds at Summit Denali High School here in Sunnyvale. Earlier this year, the board for Summit, basically, and Summit Denali is a private, it's a charter school organization, and they opened up their middle school. It's been probably 7 or 8 years ago, and they opened up their high school just several years ago. But they decided in January that they said they would probably close both the middle school and the high school in Sunnyvale at the end of the school year. And, that put lots of parents and especially their students in uncertain times, and it really kind of left them traumatized. So I've been working, trying to get the board to listen. I attended one of their board commission meetings to advocate. There was a county meeting, so the county board of education meeting. There's a separation of kind of what the city operations are and the school systems are. That being said, I'd heard from lots of parents, and it would have been one thing if they announced that at the end of next school year they would be closing, but to announce in the middle of a school year that they might be closing at the end of the year, these kids, and many of these kids didn't succeed in the public school system, but were actually doing very well at the charter school system, and them making the final decision only a week ago that they certainly would be closing down the Sunnyvale schools, the Sunnyvale Denali schools at the end of this year, was after the date for many of the private schools that they had from an application standpoint. So what the ongoing effects for these kids is just, unconscionable to some degree. But, I think charter schools in general need more oversight. They're getting our public financing. And so, this is only the perfect example of a business deciding to close down without giving appropriate notices in my consideration. So so NBC was there, CBS was there, Mercury News, lots of people kind of going out for that rally. And, I was happy to stand, in alliance with those parents and those students, and hearing some of the parents, but especially, one of the students speak was just very impressive. So, sorry to see that they will be closing at the end of this year, hopefully. And, at this point, it doesn't look very positive that there's other alternatives as far as the school is concerned. So anyway, and then Wednesday was also the official Holi holiday. So, Holi is that Indian festival of colors. It's often, and you probably have seen some of the photos that I posted about the brightly colored chalk, but it represents, the triumph of good over evil, basically the triumph of knowledge over ignorance. And, it's been, one of my pleasures as mayor to work with, we have a very diverse community and work with a lot of different groups on celebrating their traditions, whether or not it's the Indian community, the Nepalese community, our Chinese community, our Latinx community. It's been very good from that standpoint. So yeah, Tuesday night, many in our communities observe the holiday, and so I joined one of their celebrations. But the diversity of Sunnyvale is fantastic, and lots of celebrations for the holy holiday, the holy event over the next few weeks. Normally it's one official day, but much like Chinese New Year, I was still celebrating Chinese New Year events last weekend, far after Chinese New Year officially ended. So anyway, and Wednesday was also International Women's Day. And so that evening I was at Maker Nexus, and they were doing a International Women's Day event. And so they were, bringing in, parents, moms, daughters to do crafts, do art, to do hands-on, and that's one of the best things about that Maker Nexus is it's really a fantastic location. It's providing education, learning for woodworkers, for welders, for painters, lots of different things from that standpoint. So glad that they're part of our community. If you haven't had a chance to visit there, definitely take a look. They have classes, they have free open house hands-on efforts to get a better feel for what they're doing there. So definitely consider that. And then last night I was in Cupertino to honor one of Sunnyvale's schools. So I think we're proud of all of our schools, but Cupertino Union High School District actually had 15 different schools that were honored as California Distinguished Schools, one of which was in Sunnyvale. So West Valley Elementary was honored for being one of the California Distinguished Schools for this year, and for Cupertino Union High School District, that's actually very impressive. That they had 15 different schools that were being honored. So, I think that was the most of any school district in California. But thanks to West Valley Elementary, go Wildcats, and thanks to Principal Lynn, who I met, who accepted that award last night. It's always great to celebrate our accomplishments from a city standpoint, and to have one of our schools basically being honored in such a way is, just one of the pleasures of being mayor. Let's go ahead and get to our weekly COVID numbers. The COVID numbers across the nation continue to trend downward. From a national standpoint, we've now had 103.7 million cases. That's up about only 200,000 in the last week. We've had over 268 million with at least one shot. So most people have been vaccinated. We still have people passing away with COVID. We had 1,119,000 deaths with related to COVID. And then as far as California, things have stabilized. We've now reached 11,100,000 positive cases. Our daily average is actually continues to drop. So now we have about 2,600 cases a day. We've kind of leveled out. It was 2,700 last week, 2,900 for the previous 2 weeks. And our test case positivity is about 6%. Average, and that's right where it's kind of settled at 6%. So people are still getting COVID, some for the first time, just like I did last month, but in general, people aren't being hospitalized. Most people are recovering relatively quickly, but we still have people passing away with COVID. We passed 100,000 deaths just a few weeks ago. And now we had about another 200 deaths in the last week. So, we're at 100,640 deaths. So, it's still affecting people, affecting our county. From a county standpoint, we passed a cumulative case count of 475,000 people that have tested positive with COVID. That's up about 1,000 in the last week. We've now passed 2,695 deaths, another 12 deaths related to COVID last week. And, and as far as vaccinations, we're one of the best counties in the nation. Over 70% of those that are eligible for the booster received it. More than 95% of our, adults are fully vaccinated. So, that's actually helped keep our hospitalization numbers down. I continue to do lots of advocating on our city's behalf at the county level, talking to county health, county supervisors, county sheriff. The county sponsored testing and vaccination sites closed at the end of February. Currently no plan to restart those locations anytime soon, but vaccination and testing is available at pharmacies and of course with your healthcare provider. So you still have opportunities, conceivably not as easy or free, but you still have that opportunity. Let me go ahead and announce some of the upcoming events. So tomorrow, Sunnyvale will have its ride and drive event. So this is the in-person EV test driving event. Hopefully the rains will be relatively light, but it's our Electrify Your Ride event. This is, we've had a few of those last year, but it'll happen from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow at the Sunnyvale Community Center. You can ride along as a passenger. You can drive an EV. You can also, they have e-bikes there also. So, you can take e-bikes out for a spin. And then if you do a ride, you can actually get a voucher for a free taco. So have lunch while you're there. And then tomorrow at noon, a new restaurant, California Momo Kitchen, will be having their grand opening. So I'll be there for that big event. They're located at 913 East Duane. That's right there at right where Degaine and Duane meet, in kind of eastern Sunnyvale, just off of Lawrence Expressway, actually very close to the old AMD campus and all that. But they'll be having that event right around noon tomorrow. So come out and enjoy. I know that several council members will be there, and it's great to celebrate. I tried their food last week. I've heard from them just yesterday that they have a lot of residents already following the mayor's footsteps. So come out and enjoy that event and say hi to a new restaurant that we have here. And then next Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. So that's on March 16th. We'll have another Sunnyvale Unity event, and this one will be overcoming bigotry. So that'll be its focus, and that'll be happening live at Lakewood Elementary School. And we've had Sunnyvale Unity events since, I joined council, or it's actually since I became mayor about 4 years ago. We have 1 or 2 or 3 every year, and it really promotes cultural belonging in Sunnyvale. We have a very diverse city, and I want to make sure that all members in our diverse community really feel welcome, feel safe, feel respected. And so, I and, the city of Sunnyvale will be joining Fremont Union High School District, the Sunnyvale School District, and other community partners to hold that event. And it'll have an intercultural panel discussion and then small group discussions in order to promote, a culture of belonging in our city. So, from my standpoint, having these, I think this will be the first of 3 events that we'll be having this year. So hopefully you can join us for that. And then next Friday will be the third 3-year anniversary for so March 17th will be the 3-year anniversary for our first live stream address. So we'll be doing some special things as far as that's concerned. It's also, of course, St. Patrick's Day. So there'll be lots of St. Patrick's Day events Friday night on Murphy Avenue. So definitely come join the fun if you can. And then the following Tuesday, March 21st, will be the start of the next community emergency response team training classes. So CERT team, and I've been, active in the CERT organization for years, but CERT really educates you on disaster preparedness and trains you basic disaster response skills, fire safety, search and rescue, team building organizations, and just kind of what disaster medical operations should look like. So, I have, and so it's basically about 8 weeks. It starts on Tuesday, March 21st, and it will be in person Tuesday nights through May, and then on May 13th, there will be an all-day Saturday event, or about a half day, most of the day, where they do their final training event. So definitely, if you've been holding off on doing that, it's a great experience. It's good knowledge, and when the next emergency happens, it's critical that we have our residents out there in each community, in each neighborhood, ready to help out, because no city has enough public safety officers to deal with all the problems of a major earthquake or something of that nature, and how it will affect our cities. And so having these community leaders is really important. So if you haven't went through the program, definitely consider that, or just come back for a refresher. So that volunteer team is always looking for assistance if you want to come back and volunteer, or if you kind of want to go through again and just make sure that it's been a while, and I would like to make sure I'm ready for that disaster. As far as upcoming council meetings, next Tuesday, March 14th, we'll have a study session on our update to the housing element. After getting feedback from the state at the end of last year, will be, staff has taken all that feedback and has some updates that they're ready to release. That evening, we'll also be declaring March as Women's History Month. We'll have someone from the Heritage Park Museum show up. We'll have declare March as American Red Cross Month. We'll be looking at the community benefits for one of our Peary Park projects. So one of the things that they will be donating from trying to make sure Peary Park is better. And then we'll also be appointing our new representatives for our boards and commissions. So for the interviews that we had last week. And then the following Tuesday, March 21st, we'll select a preferred alignment for the Stevens Creek Trail. And this has been, an ongoing effort of mine to make sure that keeps moving forward. I was on the Four Cities Citizens Committee about 10 years ago now, but it's the selection of that preferred alignment of where it goes from Remington Drive to Fremont Avenue, and there's several options of how it gets to Fremont Avenue. We'll also be approving our housing element 2022 annual progress report for the state. So that's upcoming meetings. Let's go ahead and get to our weekly questions. If you have a question, just add it to the chat and I'll try to get to it. Joanna asked, when is our new city hall going to open? When will staff operations move? So staff will start moving into our new city hall next week. So it's been a long time coming, but the new city hall is almost open. Most operations will continue through next Friday, March 17th, at the existing city hall. The one-stop permit center will be open until through next Friday. The utility billing cashier and call center will be closing at noon next Friday. But like the HR and city clerk's office will be only reachable by phone as they move, all those move operations over. So they've kind of tiered everything on what operations try to stay fully operational until the end of the day Friday. And then Monday morning, the new city hall will be open. So that following Monday, definitely the 20th, everybody will be in the new city hall. We'll be having a ribbon cutting event in early April, but it'll be kind of a small event because it's still an active construction site. But the big event will be in the fall. So set your calendars for September 23rd. At that point, all the grounds around, so the old buildings will have been torn down. The new city hall will be open, and and then the 6 acres of additional open space will also be open. But next week, with the move going on, none of the operations at the public safety headquarters or the Sunnyvale Library will be affected. So they will be completely open during the move if you want to go there. But it's the city hall annex, that will slowly shut down by the end of next week. And then on Monday, the 20th, it's a new day here in Sunnyvale. So definitely that week, if you get a chance, come by City Hall. Elena asked, Mayor, is there a concern about losing power? If so, any recommendations on how to prepare for that? So, no specific concerns. Sunnyvale is usually in a relatively good state. We don't have as many, some of the issues that you see in Santa Cruz Mountains as far as trees falling on power lines and other things. So there's no specific issues for down power lines. And usually most of our community isn't that affected. There are certain neighborhoods that seem to be hit by problems, whether or not it's aging equipment or trees every now and then. But in general, it's always good to be prepared, of course. Generally having flashlights with fresh batteries, having candles and matches available as kind of a last ditch effort, having battery operated or hand cranked radio is always a good thing. First aid kits and all that. So definitely if you get a chance, join that emergency preparedness class that's starting in a few weeks. And there's a shorter PEP class that I think is coming up in April, which is like an hour and a half, 1-day course, but consider the CERT training if you can, and then of course having enough food and water, having enough water to last for several days is always recommended, at least a gallon of drinking water a day for each individual in your house. And don't forget your pets. They also need water too. If the power does go out, unplug your major electrical appliances to avoid overloading the circuits. And any additional conceivable fire hazards when power is restored, and then slowly power them on one at a time when power is restored. Christine asked, will there be any official tours of the new building for visitors? So the event at the beginning of April is a small event, no tours are planned. The big event will, of course, happen in September, and there will be tours for that event of the new City Hall and the grounds. So definitely look for that, and I'll bring it up to the city staff whether or not we want to try to do some sort of tours in the next month or so after staff has started to settle in. I do think that that's important. I know a lot of people are interested in seeing what's happening in our City Hall. Samir asked, our neighborhood keeps losing power more than the folks across the street. We lost it at 3 p.m. today and at noon on February 21st. Loss of power disrupts telemedicine and business calls. Besides food spoilage, can you help us? So, I have no direct power, but I have raised the issue with PG&E. Thanks for giving me your address to see if they can investigate what issues that your neighborhood is having. Ultimately, it is very disruptive to not have power, but ultimately, hopefully PG&E has a lot of things that they're working on right now. Seeing the number of different people around the Bay Area that don't have power right now. Thousands of people, I think, in Santa Cruz Mountains don't have power. It might be days before, looking at some of the reports before they actually get power. So hopefully we can figure out what's going on in your neighborhood. Sihat asked, there's a surge in the homeless tents across the city. I hope that people are getting the treatment they need. This situation requires immediate attention. Otherwise, our city will not be different than San Francisco or Oakland. Thanks for your help. So yeah, Sunnyvale Council approved a contract with Home First to do outreach and reserve beds at a local shelter and offer them to unhoused residents. A lot of them weren't taking those, but beyond that contract with Home First, the county is normally in charge of providing services and shelter services to the unhoused, getting them evaluated, getting them treatment. There's been lots of service organizations that have stepped up to provide food, to provide, blankets to and clothes to some of our unhoused community. And council actually added servicing our unhoused community as one of our new strategic priorities. So, happy that council is seeing of a like mind of trying to help some of our unhoused residents, and we also approved hiring an unhoused services manager as a priority study. The city manager should be doing this sometime in the next few months. So we will have a point of contact for Sunnyvale Community Services, Downtown Streets team, helping hand some of our service organizations that need that point of contact on trying to figure out what we do on a family that's unhoused, especially, when there's kids involved. So definitely we're working on that problem. Not enough money to completely house everybody. And, this is one of the things of looking at additional transitional housing within the city. Carrie asked, would you please repeat your email address on how to reach you? So you can reach me multiple places. Council@larryklein.com is always an easy location. Klein council@sunnyvale.ca.gov is kind of our official council, city council email addresses. And so, but there's lots of things you can add comments to this chat, to my Facebook and Instagram posts. You can text me and chat with me through different messengers. I don't always get back to everything as expediently as possible with so many different sources. There's not a single source and going through all the messages I get sometimes can be very lengthy. But I do try to get back to everyone as much as possible. Robbie asked, where do I report down trees, especially important now that the ground is saturated? So for down trees in Sunnyvale, before 4 p.m., you call 408-730-7506. After 4 p.m., 408-730-7180. If you see down power lines, you can call 408-730-7180. You can call 911. Remember, never approach a downed power line. Derek asked, hi, Larry, thank you for your posts. A city street tree fell last night and crushed my car that was parked on the street. The city came last night to clear what they could, but we'll come back to finish up today. Who do I contact in the city about this? So, sorry to hear about the issue with the falling tree, with the heavy rains, the saturated ground, and all the winds that we've been having recently. This is an issue. So you can search for claims on the city website to declare a claim for the damage. And that will walk you through how you file a claim with the city. Julie commented, I love your art, the art that you posted. Where can I learn more about the art in the city? So you can go to our city website and search for art. There's 5 walking tours. There's kind of a map of different art around the city, and they'll soon be adding a listing for all the different art. It's kind of just a PDF that people can download to kind of mark things off and walk around the city on their own. Robert commented, the city needs to start servicing the trees around Sunnyvale. We call and call for trees to be trimmed and nothing has been done. So so the city schedules its tree trimming basically every 7 years. So it slowly moves different neighborhoods over 7 years. So every year your street tree should be, every 7 years your street tree should be trimmed. When residents report an issue, the arborist checks out the trees to see if there's an immediate need. And if so, then city staff will jump in and do that. But during COVID, council actually reduced the amount of tree trimming just to kind of reduce expenses and make sure that we weather the COVID storm a little bit better. But one of our budget proposals this year was to come back as part of next year's budget is to basically increase tree trimming over the next 2 years to catch up with that 7-year cycle. So hopefully that will be approved when we go through the budget in May, and then ultimately your trees will be trimmed relatively soon. Cynthia asked, I saw a big sign on Murphy Avenue in downtown Sunnyvale. What is that announcing? So council basically approved its intent to close down Murphy Avenue as a pedestrian zone. Part of the Pedestrian Zone Act of 1960 is that you have to have public hearings and all that specifically on the pedestrian zone. So on May 16th, we'll be finalizing that approval to convert that into a pedestrian mall. So that will be upcoming from a council standpoint. Let's see if there's any questions. Let's see. Shane asked, I'm wondering who is helping the unhoused during these rains. with flooding, etc., there is lots of room for people to get hurt. Is the city checking on people? So city staff doesn't have the bandwidth to check on people, although I will say that some of our public safety officers actually go out and check on certain of the unhoused that they know. But we have several service organizations, Downtown Streets team, Home First, and Helping Hands are all three great organizations that are actually doing outreach to kind of check on some of the unhoused. And we actually have just some residents that are giving back and connecting to some of our unhoused. So thank you for everybody who helps out as far as that's concerned. I don't see any other questions. If you have a question, just add it to the comments and I'll get to it next week. But let's go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for joining me again this week. We still live in uncertain times. New issues come up almost every day, whether or not that's, bad weather or some other issue. But I want you to all know that no matter what challenges we face them together. I'm proud of Sunnyvale and how our residents have responded to the challenges over the last few years. I'm thankful to everyone in our community who helps out, shows their empathy, shows their kindness, shows their generosity. Your actions and your attitude really do make a difference. So Sunnyvale will emerge from this as a stronger community. We're in this together and we will get through this together. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Try to stay dry. Goodbye.